Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. All weighed in, ready to go. Anthony Joshua, Oleksandr Usyk, main event Saudi Arabia, and on the undercard is the chief support Zhang Zhilei outweighs Filip Hrgovic significantly. We'll come to that in a moment, but first, main event Anthony Joshua, Oleksandr Usyk. The face-off, it felt like it went for an eternity. Both guys meant business, and while it's not always something you can read into, it was Joshua who ultimately broke off the exchange. But that was some intense stuff. But off the weights, so you had Anthony Joshua, 244 pounds, so a few pounds heavier, 4 pounds heavier, in fact, than the last fight. But his weights that have been previously between about 240 and 244 has generally been a weight that he's sort of fought well at. But as with all Joshua fights, and as I covered in another video, he needs to do something to effectively manage his gas tank, manage his energy reserves, because the last fight, he could only go for about 8 or 9 rounds before sort of draining almost completely and almost being taken out in that final round. Oleksandr Usyk, meanwhile, and this is quite funny because there had been some people saying Joshua was losing a lot of weight, and where other people were saying Usyk was putting on a lot of weight. And I didn't really do any of those videos because I kind of thought, especially in Usyk's case, it was lighting, it was angles. He just kind of, to me, looked about the same. And he was 221 pounds. And it never made sense to me why he would be stacking on beef for the rematch, because it would take away some of his biggest advantages. His agility, his speed, and those things are big parts of his game plan. So stacking on 10, 15 pounds, it didn't make sense to me. And ultimately, he's come in at a weight that he's fought well at before. And he's pretty good at what he does, and he'll look to do largely what he did in the first fight. But he will try to adapt to anything that Joshua throws at him. And as I mentioned in another video that's just gone up before this one, I do think Joshua is going to try to use the height and the reach. And Usyk, he's pretty adept at trying to overcome the height and reach challenges that he's faced before in his professional career, but also from the amateurs. Plenty of guys tall timber that he's faced before. Actually, he's used to it. But both these guys look dialed in. They look ready to go. And Usyk, yeah, he deserves to go in a favourite. We've seen what he can do. Joshua's got it all there to do. Moving on to the chief support, which is Zhang Zhilei, Filip Hrgovic, the IBF final eliminator, which was delayed by a few months after Filip Hrgovic's father had died. So he's actually gone into a new camp. He's got a new trainer in Ronnie Shields, and that's going to be one of the factors for this fight. Really looking forward to sort of seeing any sort of tweaks or developments with Shields, because under Pedro Diaz, who's been with for 3 or 4 years, it looked like he'd stagnated. He'd just tried to become a power puncher, land the right hand. Kind of looked like he went away from some of the good amateur skills and pedigree that he had developed. So hoping to see a little bit more polish, especially on the defensive end. And he was 242 pounds on the scale. That was his lowest weight for a few years, but outweighed by 35 pounds. Zhang Zhilei, 277 pounds, 1 pound more than his fight with Scott Alexander back in, May. So Zhang and Hrgovic, this one ain't going 12 or 10 or whatever it was scheduled for. This is going to be, I think, over in 6 to 8 rounds, tops. I think Zhang Zhilei, who we've seen fade before in fights, he's heavy-handed, he's certainly dangerous, especially in the first few rounds, and this could end up getting messy. Wouldn't be surprised if both these guys are hurt, down, and someone is getting knocked out. I'm favouring Filip Hrgovic to take this one. I think ultimately he's going to try to weather some of the early barrage from Zhang. Both these guys, the first round or so, could be a little bit tentative, feeling each other out. But as soon as they start landing, I'm expecting these guys to really let their hands go. And Zhang Zhilei, he's got the power to stop Filip Hrgovic. And Hrgovic, he has been so reckless in recent years, not really been worried about what's coming at him. but he has to change that mindset for this fight, and I hope Shields has drummed that into him. Otherwise, he's going to get knocked out and find himself looking up from the canvas at Zhang. And this is the opportunity for Hrgovic to try to convince people that he is a true contender at this stage, because the opposition has just sort of stagnated for a few years. This is a step-up fight, the best opponent of his career to date. He needs to look impressive, but so too the aging Zhang, who's 39 years old at this point. It's last chance saloon for Zhang, because if he loses, it's a long way back to anything meaningful and possibly too late in the day in his career. Looking forward to this, and either guy could knock each other out, and that's what makes it exciting. But I'm going with Hrgovic. I'm picking Usyk to beat Anthony Joshua, but as I said in the other video, if Joshua can implement his game plan, it's small margins in this sport. If he can do what he needs to, he can certainly win. But at this stage, I think the poll that I did, and I didn't show it in the other video as well, I'll put it up on screen here. This is the poll that you guys voted on, and you've decided it was a 60-40 fight. And I think, based on what we saw in the first fight, that's completely fair. But picking Usyk, and we will see. Happy to be wrong on these things always. Just hoping both these fights, we are going to see a good one. A third heavyweight fight also on the card. Andrew Tabiti, James Wilson. No divisional relevance, so won't really get into it. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.